What's up everyone, my name is Josh and this is Josh Unboxed, and welcome back to the Daily Grind, a video series in which I talk about particular cards, plays, strategy, news, and how it affects the overall sports card markets. In other words, I'm just trying to find a way to help us navigate through the craziness that is the sports card world of today, as well as to help us make much more sound purchasing and selling decisions. And today I kind of want to tackle on the topic of established plays versus speculative plays. Now, being a content creator, we all have our different views and opinions of how we should invest our money into the sports card market. We got a group of people that like to dabble in the whole speculative area of the hobby, guys like Ja, Zion, Trey, the young stars of the NBA or the brand new draft class that's coming out. And we got a group of content creators that like to focus on more of the established plays, whether it's rarity, whether it's guys like LeBron, Kobe, MJ, Brady, like these established plays. Like we have guys that kind of have different viewpoints as to where you should be investing your money. Now, then you got your group of guys that, have a nice mix, a nice balance of talking about the current NBA card market and the vintage plays. But we always got to remember what the end game is. If you're into this hobby to flip and make money, then yeah, sure, a lot of speculative plays may be able to garner you that money quickly. If you're in it to see these as an alternative investment, then yeah, the more established plays are where you want to park your money at, especially if you're planning on going long term, 20 years, 25 years or so. I mean, for me, that's the goal. But the question becomes, how do you get there? And like I talk about goal plan and what's next, that's what we do. We take the speculative and we put it into the established. Speculation has always been a part of this hobby. Just look at everything that's going on right now with the current draft class, NBA draft class of guys like LaMelo, James Wiseman, Anthony Edwards, Tyler Halliburton. People are looking for those cards. It's always been a part of this market. When football comes out, the speculation on Trevor Lawrence is going to be insane. But we also got to look back in the past too. It's always been a part of this market, and to completely ignore the speculative aspect of things is kind of foolish, because we can go back to players from back in the day, like guys like using NBA for example, Andrew Wiggins, who was the first pick of the NBA draft. We got Steve Francis, Stephon Marbury. We can even go into the 90s with guys like Christian Laettner, Alonzo Mourning, Danny Ferry. These guys were hyped up coming into the NBA, right? And there was a huge speculative market on these guys. For people to say don't buy into the young guys, it's true. There's more risk involved with these speculative plays, right? But that's always been a part of the hobby, and in a sense, for me, it's part of probably one of the most fun aspects of the hobby is trying to figure out who will hit and who won't. So to say that, not to dabble into the whole speculative market or to completely ignore that aspect of this market is kind of foolish, because it's been going on for years. Pull up any old Beckett magazine and look at the rookie class of that year and check out how much those rookie cards were going for compared to the stars of that era, and you'll see that a lot of these cards were being sold or traded for a decent amount of money. The only difference between then and now is just the amount of money that is being poured in. What used to be a $4 card back in the 90s is now a $200 card graded PSA 10. It's a huge jump, but the speculation has always been there. Now, the idea is not to completely ignore these speculative plays, because if you don't have a high bankroll, like I'm using myself as an example, I don't have a high bankroll to be able to quickly jump into the more established plays. So what I do is I buy into the speculative market to be able to put that money into the established plays. But it does not to say also that I'm putting all my money in the spec market. I'm going to the spec market and I'm buying a little bit into the established market as well. So the idea of using the speculative market to fuel the established market is something that I do constantly. That's why I buy guys like Kyler Murray, I buy guys like Lamar Jackson, Fernando Tatis, Acuna, Soto. Yes, there is a possibility that these guys might be great long term, but to be able to generate those profits from them now to be able to roll it into the more established stars is what I do, or what my aim is to be. And my reasoning is because, understand this, it may take years for these guys to establish their legacy. So while I'm waiting for them to establish their legacy, if there is an opportunity to sell due to profit, I will take that profit and roll it into the past players whose legacies have already been established. Now, if years down the line, these players like Tatis and Kyler Murray end up becoming greats in the game, then I will use whatever draft class that's come out after them in the speculative market, roll those profits and buy back into those guys whose legacies have now been established. Use the profits now to buy into the older cards, and then if those guys were to hit, you can use the next upcoming draft class and that hype and that speculative market to roll those profits into those guys who now have an established legacy. Or you can even go back further. I think doing it like that kind of helps out a little bit, because yes, we always want to hang on to the guy because we strongly believe in them, right? But the question becomes, is that truly a safe play? If we're looking at safe plays, and everyone talks about how vintage is a safe play, right? Current modern stars are too volatile. The speculation market is too volatile. Use those profits and roll it into the older stuff. That way you have a safe play the speculation market, and if those guys happen to hit and they play great and they become established guys, then use the next upcoming draft classes in that speculative market, roll the profits into that and buy back into those guys. Yes, you'll be buying back at a higher price, but at least you're using the profits that you had back then to buy into the more older cards, which probably would have increased alongside with the current crop of players. I don't know if that makes sense to you guys or not, but this is an idea that has come to my head just thinking, because I sold a few Fernando Tatis Juniors and I'm really a big believer in him, but he's still young into his career. So if he were to become one of the best baseball players to ever play, then I can buy back into him, yes, at a higher price point. But in order for me to buy back into him, I'll play like the guys like Joe Adell, Alec Baum, Spencer Torkelson, whoever is part of that speculative market, to be able to buy back into Tatis. So the idea of using Kyler Murray and Lamar Jackson to generate profit so I could buy into a Tom Brady card is what my aim is, right? That's the whole process. That's my whole thought process in it. So I hope you guys found some value in this. If you guys did, go ahead and leave a thumbs up. If you haven't yet, please consider subscribing. I love doing these videos on a daily basis, whether I'm talking about topics, plays, strategy, news, any of these types of discussions. Sports cards is a passion of mine. I truly love it. I love the whole speculation aspect of it and rolling that speculative market into the more established markets. I think it's fun. And always and don't forget to always keep in mind what your end goal is. And I think if you continue to stay focused as to where you want to be, I don't think you can go wrong. I think you'll end up winning more times than losing. So with that being said, my name is Josh, and I'll see you guys in the next video later.